Alright guys, today you are going to review how to graph some old things and you will learn how to graph square root functions. So the topic today is graphing square root functions. So graphing square root functions. Block B. And today is the 5th. In Chapter 5, you learned how to graph a linear function. Now, what word is in linear? Hopefully, you're able to see the word line. You used y equals mx plus b, which had slope, and y-intercept. The slope was the letter m. The y-intercept was the letter b. So to graph this equation, which is linear, you would go to the -2 spot on the y-axis, make a dot. You will go up 5 from that dot, and to the right 3. You could do that as much as you needed to make more points. Pause the video if you have any questions. In Chapter 7, you learned how to graph an exponential function. You had to use an XY chart. So I gave you an exponential function. You may want to put also, you used your calculator to help you plug in. So here's your equation. It's exponential because x is an exponent. Make an XY chart. And when you did this with me, we used numbers like -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And then we got your calculator. So please pause the video and get your calculators. Go to your y equals button. Make sure everything is clear. And type the problem in the way that it's written. The next buttons you hit are second and graph.
You're fine. Just roll.
Now you're going to type in the x values that you want. Some of you might still be on the scrolling feature, but I think most of you are on the feature where you can just type in the numbers that you want to plug in. And we did this a lot when we did parabolas. So I wanted -2 all the way through +2, so these are my answers. So I have 8, 4, 1, 0.5, and I missed one. There we go. That was good. Good job. All right, sorry. So I have 8, 4, 2, 1, and 0.5. Okay? Okay, now I'm going to plot those points, and that will give me this function. So left 2 and up 8. Hey, would you shut my door for me? I think it's about to get kind of loud. Left 1 and up 4. Thank you. Over 0 and up 2. And over 1 and up 1. And over 2 and up 1/2. And you can see, remember in exponentials, they were all like that J shape. In fact, when we were in Chapter 9, you guys practiced graphing these, even though it was from Chapter 7. Okay, then in Chapter 9, you learned how to do a quadratic function. We'll just abbreviate that, quadratic function. By the way, that just means x squared. You use the vertex, and you made an XY chart. Okay, this is quadratic because it's x squared. You had to find a equals -1, b equals -4, and c equals 2. Then, to get the vertex, you had to do x equals negative b over 2a. And then you had to plug in b and a. So you would write x equals opposite b, so positive 4, over 2 times negative 1. And that would make 4 divided by negative 2, which would equal negative 2. So this is a quadratic, so you had to find a, b, and c. You had to use x equals negative b over 2a. You had to plug in a and b, and you reduce to get negative 2. And then you had to make an xy chart. These were not your favorite things. Put negative 2 in the middle. Surround it. So negative 3 and negative 4, and negative 1 and 0. The good news is you have your calculator, which will help you plug it in. So get your calculators ready and go to y equals. Pause the video. If it looks like anybody's kind of falling behind or whatever, go ahead, feel free to pause the video to catch up to a particular spot and rewind. So we do negative x squared minus 4x plus 2. And then you hit second and graph. Then you type in the numbers you want. So I want negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, and 0. And I should see a perfect reflection, which I do. So negative 4 is 2, negative 3 is 5, negative 2 is 6, negative 1 is 5, and 0 is 2. And then we plot those numbers, and we get a parabola. So left 4 and up 2, left 3 and up 5, and I'm going pretty fast, so feel free to pause the video if need be. Left 2 and up 6, left 1 and up 5, and 0, 2. So I'm going to do, so I'm going to connect. I plotted those points very quickly. I would suggest pausing the video and making sure students are okay plotting and connecting. One moment, please. Okay, guys, phone call's done. We are now on to the new topic today. Yay, all of that was review. Lucky you. We're going to talk about Chapter 10. You're going to learn how to graph square root functions, like that. They will always look like this, like half of a sideways parabola. Here are the steps. Take the inside stuff and make it greater than or equal to 0. Solve for x, and you found the domain. And first point. I wasn't quite sure what that blank was. All right, inside stuff, solve for x, you found the domain. Make an xy joint. I said joint. Make an xy chart, and make sure that what you got from step 2 is your first point. And then you plot your points. Whee! Okay. You're going to pick more numbers, by the way. All right, let's just try this thing. Let's start with an easier one. Number 1. Let's follow my steps. Step 1. Take the inside stuff. So the only thing on the inside is not that plus 1. So it's just an x, and you make it greater than or equal to 0. Well, that is solved, so that is the domain. Now what we're going to do is you're going to make an xy chart and put 0 first. You should try to plot probably 4 or 5 points. So we're going to do a little higher than 0. This is the first point, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4 after that. Now we're going to grab your calculator again, put it here, go to your y equals, clear out your old stuff, type in your new stuff, and hit second graph, just like we did for the exponential chart and the quadratic. So you're going to see a lot of errors, and that's totally fine. You're going to plug in your numbers, and you're not going to see any more errors. All right, so pause the video. Make sure they have the equation in their y equals. They went to second graph, and they plugged in 0 through 4. And then write down your answers. 1, 2, 2.4, 2.7, and 3. And that's what you get. You don't have to worry about anything else. I mean, these are, you don't need to look at any numbers below that. Plot your points. Over 0, up 1. Over 2, up 2.4. Then up 2.7. Then up 3. And you can notice it really starts to, it jumps kind of fast at the beginning. This is your first point. But then it will really start to level off like that. And if you want to, just hit graph on your calculator. And if you hit graph on your calculator, you can notice that your graph matches the one that your calculator is giving you. You just have specific points. Try again. Pause the video if at any point in time you need to help anybody keep up. All right, so we're going to take the inside stuff. The inside stuff is 3x minus 9. You're going to make that greater than or equal to 0. This one, unlike the last one, needs to be solved. Add 9 to both sides. You will get 3x is greater than or equal to 9. Then you will divide by 3. And then you'll get x is greater than or equal to 3. That is the domain. You then take that 3 and make it your first number on your XY chart. Then I would suggest doing 4, 5, 6, and 7. At least 4 points, 5 points is better. Step number whatever, I don't know what step we're on, but we're going to go to our calculator now. And we're going to plug in those numbers. 3, 4, 5, oh, just lying. That was a, I'm not even going to delete that from the video. That was just me being, haha. Okay, type in your equation now to square root 3x minus 9. Sorry, so if you have to rewind the video, or maybe that would be a bad idea since I screwed up. Just make sure your equation's in there. And hit second and graph. It's okay if you see a whole bunch of errors. We're going to type over those with 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Those are our new values to plot. So 3 will give me 0. 4 will give me 3.5. 5 will give me 4.9. 6 will give me 6. 7 will give me 6.9. Now that you have those from your calculator, plot your points. So over 3 and up 0 is your beginning point. Over 4 and to 3.5. Over to 5 and up to 4.9. You can see this one's a little taller, but it's still the general shape. Over to 6 and up to 6. Over to 7 and up to 6.9. You can see that this one is growing really fast, but it is going to end up slowing down eventually. So there's our graph. And if you hit graph on your calculator to double check yourself, you can see you get the exact same type of shape. Look guys, there's only one more. I'm so excited for you. Step 1, the inside stuff is x plus 2. You make the inside stuff greater than or equal to 0. Then you solve for x. In this case, I need to subtract 2 from both sides. That will give me x is greater than or equal to negative 2. Now that you solve for x, this is the domain. So when it asks you to solve for the domain, you already did. That negative 2 is your first point. And then you count up. So we'll do negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. I like to do 5 points. I think it looks a lot better when you do 5 points instead of 4 points because you can see it starting to level out. Grab your calculator. Go to your y equals. Type in your equation. Get out of your square root after the 2. I know some of you might have an older calculator. You might need a parenthesis before the x and a parenthesis after the 2. Hit second and graph. You might see some errors. You might see some weird numbers. You just need the numbers that we have on our chart. Negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. Those are your answers that you're going to plot. So negative 2 is going to give you 5. Negative 1 is going to give you 7.7. 0 gives you 8.8. 1 is 9.7. And 2 is 10.4. Plot those points. -2, 5, 1, 2, 3. I'm plotting my points fast, so if you guys want to maybe pause the video once I get done and just check yours against mine, that would be a good idea. There's 7.7. Oh, it's getting kind of tall. So see, it was 7, 8.8. Oh, this is getting really tall. 9.7. Okay, so I'm kind of running out of room. I can count to 10.4. I can kind of eye it up. Let's see. Hold on. Let me rewind and count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That one's good. 8.8. 9.7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 10. I'm really struggling with my counting right now. .7. Oh, that's 8. There we go. Found my mistake. That was 7. So this is 8.8. There we go. There's 9.7 and there's 10.4. There we go. Now we can see it leveling off. It's okay. Your math teacher can count. I am not editing that out of the video either. Now you're all done. If you hit graph on your calculator, you can see it takes the same general shape. It has the same starting area. And you are done. So I have these steps kind of all summed up for you. That's the wrong way. I just zoomed it way in. All right. You're going to make the inside stuff greater than or equal to 0. You'll put your fence on and solve for x. You're going to use the XY chart and make 5 points. Please use your calculator to do this in the y equals and in the second graph buttons. Y equals the equation and then second graph for your points. And then plot your points and you are all done. All right, guys, I know you missed me. Trust me, I missed you too. Bye.